Hello everyone, I'm Dr. William Nordquist, and I'd like to give you a little demonstration on how the complexity of a denture, and we're just going to go step by step. It's probably way more detailed than anybody wants to hear, but the actual main lecture is much longer. But it gives you an idea what we go through to get an absolutely perfect denture that looks good, has a good smile line, and kind of fits the person's personality.
Okay, this is Mr. Gray, and he's had a custom endosseal implant placed several weeks ago in his maxilla. And this is one of those situations where the abutment heads were exactly the right size, so we didn't have to trim them down. So we took impressions last time. You see that? We're going to syringe it into the material all the way back to the buccal. Just have the patient relax his lips a little bit into the palate, and then we take the heavy body and we start it from the front. Relax your lips, let your lips relax, and just watch the roll go up into that buccal fold, and just gently seat it and just roll that material over. And it takes only a couple minutes to set up, but you can see how one operator did this mixing. I mixed the light body and the heavy body, and still had plenty of time to seat this into the patient's mouth. The material is already setting up. It sets up fairly fast. As you can see, it doesn't roll down the patient's mouth. And Mr. Gray actually is not a gagger, but for gaggers, we just tell the patient to breathe through their nose, and the tongue comes up in the back and blocks the material from going down the throat. And say, just breathe through your nose and this will be comfortable. And I've rarely ever had anybody gag on this material. To remove this material, don't use the handle as a handle, but just take your fingers up under here and then just kind of work it out until you hear the suction release. And as soon as the suction releases, then it comes out. And see, the bar came out with the impression. And before we pour up the impression, we're going to take out the alginate material right under the bar. And then we're going to take the bar out and pour this up without the bar. Okay, now we're going to do some measurements, and this makes it so much easier to work with a laboratory when you have some of these tools. This is called a papillometer, and it's to measure the lower lip line of the patient. So we can take that measurement back to the laboratory and actually have an aesthetic control base made that will, when placed back in the mouth, will be very close to where we want it. We put the bar back in, the little stop here fits right onto the bar. If you're doing dentures, that fits onto the ridge. Just relax your jaw and just relax your lip. We just pull the lip up, just deadpan drop it onto that. Don't pull it, just let it drop. And it looks like we got a 6. That lower lip line dead relaxed. We want that measurement in 6 millimeters. Right there. Okay, again, this thing fits right onto the bar. Deadpan drop the lip. It looks like a 6, 5.5 to 6. Then, to give us an idea what size teeth to use, we have an allometer. You can just relax. We're measuring the alas of the nose. And that measurement actually falls dead center in the cuspids. When you bring it down, that's a dead center in the cuspids. And then when we do our reading, where it points, we know that this patient is going to have relatively wide teeth. And there's a large selection of teeth that fall into this area, free of the denture. Okay, now we're going to make the aesthetic control base. And the wax that we use is Modern Material Sure Wax. And this material is very nice to work with. It's stable. When we get the teeth set up on, it's very easy to move the teeth around. It doesn't flake or disintegrate when you warm it up to move teeth around. And I've been using this wax for many years. We're going to warm it up. The first step in the aesthetic control base is to warm up the wax, and then you fold it in half. So you get this material. See how it doesn't flake when you warm it up. It just stays nice and pliable, and it adheres to itself. And what we're going to do is stretch it a little bit here, and then put it over the pallet and just place it down and mold it to the stone as you go around. This can be used for full dentures as well, this technique. This was developed for full dentures, and I've modified it. This technique, it's the old Swissadent technique for overdentures. Then we take a waxing instrument, this wooden handled waxing instrument, and then just cut through the mucobuccal fold all the way around. And we're going to leave the palette in for the Tryin just so we have enough wax to have a solid base for Tryin. Okay, that's the first wax that we apply to this model, and then the second wax sheet we're going to warm up, and then this is going to be folded in thirds. Okay, now we've got it warmed up. See how nice and pliable it is. We're just going to fold it over in thirds. Takes 2 sheets of wax to make a esthetic control base for the maxilla. Then we just place it into the buccal fold, mucobuccal fold, and just start molding the wax in and shaping it. And then we're going to cut it off, cut the tail, the back end off with the waxing knife. I'm kind of kneading this and kind of making the base a little bit thicker. And I'm shaping along. What I want to do now is pull this off. If you use a wet model, it comes off very nicely, nice and easy. And then we're going to look down and try to get the periphery of your esthetic control base to go right where the line is that we drew on the model, or into the mucobuccal fold. See, we're a little bit short on this right now, so I'm going to put it on the model, and then we're going to push it out a little bit around. And then now we're ready to try the esthetic control base into the mouth. And first of all, we place the bar back into the esthetic control base, and then place this into the mouth. You can see the mark from our the compass here marking the lower lip line. Now what we're going to have him do is just relax the lip again and see if we're right there. And what we want is that lower lip line to fall exactly parallel to his lip, which it looks like he does. Then just relax your jaw and just give me a smile. And when he smiles, we want it even on both sides. See, when he smiles, we can see the buccal quarters going down the right and the left side. When he smiles, the lower part of the esthetic control base follows his lower lip line, which is called the smile line. When he smiles wide, we can mark the upper lip line is right here. And so what we want is teeth to fall between the upper lip line and the lower lip line. And then this is a very balanced smile that we got, and we didn't have to do anything except use the rim former, and we come to the mouth and it's right on the money. Many times it's not, and so you have to adjust it so that when they smile wide, that there's equal amounts of plastic showing right and left, so that what you're trying to do is get a smile that is balanced in a smile. That's all we care about in aesthetics, is this wide smile to have the teeth balanced within that smile. And then what we're going to do is now mark the midline. And once we get teeth set, it's easier to tell the midline once the teeth are set, but it's nice to be able to get that right in the proper place originally. And what we want to do is in a smile, we want that midline to kind of balance the teeth on both sides and somewhat fall in the midline of his face. When we mark the midline, that gives a technician the angle we call it the tip. Tip in orthodontics is this angle here. So it gives the tip of the anterior teeth. And also it gives the torque, which is torque in orthodontics is this angle here. So the aesthetic control base gives a tip and a torque of where the final teeth are going to be. And remember we did the allometer that tells us the midline of the cuspids. So we have everything we need for aesthetics on this aesthetic control base. Now we're going to check the lower to see how close we are. Is it just the bite block? And so we have the patient just gently slide the jaw back, slide back, gently touch down. See, we're pretty close to being right on the money there too. And the way we determine the vertical dimension is to have the patient totally relax the lips. And we want the lips to just barely touch. And interesting enough, we did no adjustments on this whatsoever, but because we set the lower bite block to the midway to the retromolar pad, that we got this right on the money right off the bat. His lips just barely touch. See, that gives us the maximum bite opening possible. And what we're doing is we're setting the vertical dimension at rest. There's no freeway space in this denture setup. That way we give the patient maximum lower face height. And aesthetically, that's the best we can do for these patients. And they can tolerate no freeway space. See, when we touch the lips, they just touch. Now with women, they have much fuller lips. Men, he has a relatively thin lip. So if he compressed those lips, it's an aging effect. But when they just barely touch the lips like that, then that's the vertical dimension. Okay, here we are for our Tryin. And we've placed the denture in wax in Mr. Gray's mouth. Give us a nice smile. So we point out that we have nice buccal corridors going down both sides. Looks like the midline is right on the money. And when you smile, the lower lip line or smile line, the teeth fall into the smile line. He's got kind of a flat lower lip, but it fits well into the smile line. And the upper lip line comes right to the top of the teeth. Relax your upper lip. Just relax your lips. Let your lips just touch. Moisten your lips and just let them touch. When he bites down, he's got very thin lips, but when he bites down, the lips just barely touch is what we're after. It gives him the maximum bite opening. And we've given him good facial support with this denture. And I'm pretty happy with it. A big smile. That looks pretty normal to me. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thanks for listening to the video. It is the shortest possible explanation of the complex procedure we go through to get dentures. And when you review the before and after slides right above this video on my website, you can understand how we achieved the aesthetics that we did. So we look forward to seeing you, and I just love doing dentures. I've been doing it for many, many years. So if you're interested, give us a call.